طيب Sam, today we have term 3, week 3, math AMS. Shoot, term 3, sorry, term 2. Uh, صراحة, it's a lot of geometry. Okay, the first 9 questions, yeah. They're long صراحة, إنه it's solving questions. You need to solve for the geometry. وبعدين من بعدها في IGCSE وبعدين all old questions. فأنا I'd say half the quiz is new. 17 questions from the quiz are new. 16 questions. The rest كلهم they're old. بس though you need to understand the geometry. Okay, I'm gonna try my best to sum it up in the best way I can. Okay, فأنت لما بيكون عندك في two rules for this week. اسمهم ال sine rule وفي over here I'll write it the cosine rule. Okay, these are the two rules for this week. فأنت what you have to do, uh, let's start with the sine rule. Okay, the sine rule says first you have a triangle. Okay, any triangle هيك. Okay, we'll call this triangle, let's say ABC. A B C. Okay, first thing you have to identify are the angles A, angle B, and angle C. Okay, the second thing we're going to talk about in this sine rule is the side opposite to each angle. So the side opposite to angle A would be side A, and you write that with a small letter. The side opposite to angle B is side B with a small b, and the side opposite to angle C is side C with a small c. What does the sine rule state? The sine rule states that the sine of angle A divided by A equals the sine of angle B divided by the side B equals the sine of angle C divided by C. So these are all equal. Obviously, you won't use all three at the same time. You'd only use two. But what I'm trying to say is that the sine of the angle divided by the side is equal to the sine of the other angle divided by the other side. It will make way more sense when we're solving. I'll give you an example. I'll give you an example. Let's say this is A, B, C. I'll give you sine. I'll give you angle A is 30, and I gave you B is 40. Okay, and I gave you C is مثلا 7. Okay, uh, but I don't know angle C. Uh, and they want me to find side A. Okay, the first thing you do is you take the side you're trying to find and you take the angle that's corresponding to it. Okay, what's corresponding to side A? Angle A. Why did I call it side A? Because it's opposite to angle A. So you take sine of the angle that's opposite to it, sine 30 over A equals what side is given here? The side opposite to C. But do we have angle C? No, we don't. طب okay, you're gonna tell me, well, how do we solve if I don't have angle C? You have to find it. How do I find it? You know, all angles in a triangle add up to 180. So 40 plus 30 plus angle C equals 180. So you'll get angle C equals 110. Okay, so then since now you know angle C is 110, you do sine 110 over the side opposite to it, which is 7, and you cross multiply. You get A equals 7 times sine 30 divided by sine 110. Okay, uh, this is how you apply the sine rule. Now let's move to the cosine rule. Okay, the cosine rule. The cosine rule is it's a bit more tricky. Uh, Same thing. You have a triangle. Okay, same thing. We're working with opposite sides. Okay, you're always working with opposite sides. So A corresponds to A, B corresponds to B, and C corresponds to small c. Okay, the cosine rule, it's kind of like the Pythagoras theorem. It starts with a side, and obviously instead of using sine now we're going to use cosine. But no, it's not going to be cosine A over A equals cosine B over B. No, no. How it is any side squared, let's say A squared. A squared would be equal to the other two sides plus each other squared, so b squared plus c squared. But no, we're not done. Minus 2 times the other two sides, b, c, times cosine of the angle we're talking about. Since we're finding a, we have to use angle a. So this is the cosine rule. Each side squared is equal to the other two sides squared plus each other minus 2 times the other two sides multiplied by the cosine of the angle we're talking about. So let's say, مثلا, I wanted to find b. I would start with b squared equals the other two sides, a and c squared, so a squared plus c squared, minus 2 times the sides, a, c, times cosine of what angle are we talking about now? B opposite to b, cosine b. And last one, let's say I was trying to find c squared, bc squared, because the other two sides squared, a squared and b squared, minus 2 times the other two sides, times cosine of the angle. So since we're talking about c, it's going to be angle c. Okay, this is the cosine rule. Tab, okay, sometimes they're gonna ask, what is, well, what is the value of cosine a? What would be logical is obviously to move everything, but I'll give you the formula just like this. Cosine a, since we're talking about angle a, it will be a squared, okay, minus the other two ones squared, so b squared minus c squared, divided by negative 2 times bc, okay? This is if you want to find the cosine of the angle, because sometimes in some questions, let's say, I think it was here, let's say, no, it was question 1 actually. You see, if they say what is cosine a, so to find cosine a, you'd use this. Cosine a equals the side beside a, and the side opposite to a squared minus the other two ones squared divided by minus 2 times bc. This is the same as this, by the way. How did I do it? I took b squared to the other side, became minus b squared. I took c squared to the other side, became minus c squared. So it will be a squared minus b squared minus c squared equals minus 2bc on the right side times cosine a. And we want cosine a to be alone, صح? So we have to take minus 2bc to the other side. It will be a squared minus b squared minus c squared. Since we're multiplying by minus 2bc here, you have to divide by minus 2bc. Okay, then you'll be left with cosine a. This is how you derive this equation. Okay, I'm just showing you. You know, these two are just the same exact equation, but I'm just moving stuff to the other side. Okay, like this, and I would have explained the cosine rule and the sine rule. If you want to screenshot this, please go ahead. But now let's start. Okay, in every question, they're gonna come like this. Okay, maybe you'll get 3 questions where they draw the triangles for you, but you have to be prepared for them to ask you the question like this. When they ask you the question like this, how you solve is you have to draw the triangle. So they say triangle ABC, you draw a triangle ABC, ABC. Okay, then they say AC is 34, so AC is 34. Uh, BC is 30, BC is 30, and angle C is 42. They're telling you to use cosine 42, so uh, so you should know what formula to use. So we're using the cosine rule. Okay, and what do they want? They want AB squared. AB. AB in this case is opposite to angle C, صح? So this one, C. So since it's opposite to angle C, we're talking about C. So what was the formula? It's the side squared equals the other one squared, 30 squared, plus the other one squared, 34 squared, minus 2 times the other two sides, 30 times 34, times, remember, cosine of the angle, times cosine 42. Repeat. Do I repeat? Let me repeat, okay? They gave me BC here is 30, they gave me AC is 34, they gave me the angle here is 42, okay? They're saying cosine 42. And hatta when you see squared, immediately know that you're talking about the cosine rule, okay? So AB squared is the side opposite to angle C, okay? So it will be C squared equals these two squared plus each other, always the other two sides plus each other squared, minus 2 times the other two sides, times cosine of the angle opposite to the side, which in this case is angle C, which is 42. Now solve C squared, put this in a calculator. I'm sure to solve this. Yeah, you get, they're saying use cosine 42 as 0.7, okay? If you use it on the calculator and you put cosine 42, you actually put cosine 42, you're gonna get it wrong, okay? Make sure to use the approximation cosine 42 is 0.7. So instead of cosine 42, let's put 0.7 here, okay? 34, 30 minus 2, 34 squared plus 30 squared. Okay, now put this in a calculator. You're gonna get 628, okay? Because they don't want you to find the radical of 628. No, they just want you to directly find AB squared. Okay. Part B, same thing. Triangle. Draw the triangle. A, B, C. A, B, C. AB is 10.5. AC is 10. And CB is 8.5. Okay, they want cosine A. Now, when they want the cosine of the angle, and I told you cosine A. What is cosine A equal to? Cosine A is equal to the side A, the side opposite to the angle, A squared, minus the other two ones, so B squared minus C squared, okay, divided by negative 2 times the other two ones, BC. This is the rule, and I gave you here. If you want the cosine of the angle directly, it's going to be the side included by the angle, or the side opposite to the angle. So here, opposite to angle A is side A. So that's the one first, minus the other two ones squared, divided by negative 2 times the other two ones, the other two ones. Okay? So in this case, it's going to be cosine A equals A squared. What's A squared? The side opposite to A. As the side opposite to angle A. So A squared, so 8.5 squared. See, side opposite to angle A, 8.5 squared. Minus the other two ones squared, so 10.5 squared minus 10 squared. It doesn't matter what order you put these two, by the way. It's fine. Okay? Over negative 2 times the other two ones. 10.5, 10. And you're going to get, after you do this, cosine A equals this. You're going to get on your calculator 23 over 35. Okay. In trying now, question 2, ABC again. Draw ABC. Okay, ABC. Okay, DC is 10, B is 45, and C is 75. Okay. What do they want? They want AC. They want this one here. Let's call AC side B, صح? AC is side B. Okay. طب are we going to use the cosine or no? How do we know if we use the cosine or no? Okay, that's a good question, Sarah. Okay, usually you know you're going to use the cosine when they're asking for the square, or when they're asking for obviously the cosine of the angle. Okay, uh, but if they don't give you anything and you're just meant to find out, Saraha, just always try using the sine rule first. Okay, always try using the sine rule first. But obviously, if they're asking for square, like they did in question one, if they're asking for the square or the cosine, then you should know you're using the cosine rule. But if they're asking for just numbers, hey, please try, yani, always try using the sine rule first. Okay, and the sine rule, if I remind you, it was sine A, angle A over side A equals sine angle B over B equals sine angle C over C. Okay, when solving using the sine rule, honestly, a tip I want to give you is find all three angles first. It will make solving way easier. Okay, please find all three angles first. How do we find angle A if we have B and C are 45 and 75? You know, 45 plus 75 plus angle A will be 180, because it's a triangle and all angles equal 180. So you're gonna get angle A equals 45 plus 75, it's 50 plus 71, 20, 60. You get angle A is 60. Okay, so now let's solve. هن بدهم side B. Always start with the side you're trying to find. Okay, always start with the side you're trying to find. Side B is opposite to angle B, so we're gonna do sine B, which in this case is 45, over side B equals, then you start with the side you actually have, 10. 10 is opposite to angle A, so 10 is A. Okay, so sine, what's angle A? The side, the angle opposite to 10, 60 over 10. This is what you get. And then after that, you do cross multiply. You get 10 sine 45 equals B sine 60. So obviously you take sine 60 to the other side, it will be 10 sine 45 divided by sine 60, and you're gonna get 10 radical 6 over 3. Okay, that's how you do it. Just make sure you understand how to use the sine rule. Always find all three angles first. Okay. Part B, again, same thing. A, B, C. A, B, C. They're saying AC is 3 radical 3. Okay, BC is 9 and A is 60. Okay, بدهم هني angle B. Okay, angle B is opposite to which side? 3 radical 3. So if I do, so what's my rule? Sine angle B over the side complementary opposite to it, 3 radical 3 equals, what else do I have? 9 is opposite to sine 60. 9 is opposite to sine 60. So it will be sine 60 over 9. Just like this. That's it. You don't have to do anything else. Just look at the side and look at this angle opposite to it. Okay? 60 is opposite to angle 9 and B is opposite to 3 radical 3. Okay. It will be 3 radical 3 times sine, cross multiply, of course, huh? 3 radical 3 times sine 60 uh, divided by 9 equals sine B. Okay, and I'm pretty sure you're gonna get, wait, let me do it on my calculator. 3 radical 3 times sine 60 divided by 9. You're gonna get a really long decimal. Okay, so sine B will be equal to something like negative 0.175, whatever. It's a long decimal. فأنت, how do you find the angle? You do inverse sine of the answer you got. Okay, and you should get 30 degrees. Okay, you'll get 30 degrees after you do this. ف yeah, that's it. You find uh you use the sine rule, and then you do inverse sine. Okay, then part C. For part C, since I found now angle B is 60. Sorry, angle B, my fault. Angle B is 30. Obviously, angle C will be 60 plus 30 plus angle C equals 180. So angle C will be equal to 90 degrees. That's it, without having to use any rule. You can find it by adding up all angles in the triangle to 180. Okay, this time they drew it for you and they're telling you sine. Okay, they're giving you C is 44, so put 44 here. They're giving you sine C is 0.8, so let's just say 0.8. Okay, and sine B, where's angle B? Here, 0.4. Okay, what is the value of B? This could not get easier. Okay, always know sine. We have what's given. We want. I told you, always use what they're looking for first. So sine, they're looking for side B, so you use angle B. So sine B over B equals, what do we have given? C, right? So we use angle C now. Sine C over C. Now substitute. Sine B is given to us 0.4. We want side B, so we don't know it. Sine C is given to us 0.8. Or side C is given 44. Cross multiply بيطلع لك B is 22. uh, like this, and I find it easier, so I have to solve. It's way easier than the first few questions. Okay, using the values provided for the sine of each length of the angles of triangle, what's the length of the segment AC? They want AC. AC is opposite to B, so let's call it B. Okay, so how do we solve? They're using sine, so let's use the sine rule. Always look at what they're looking for first. What are they looking for? Segment AC, which is B, right? It's the side opposite to B, so we're gonna use sine B. Side opposite to B, so we're going to start with sine B. Always use the angle opposite to the side. Sine B over B equals, what do we have? What do we have? What side do we have? We have 45. This 45 is opposite to A, so we're going to use sine A over A. When I use small letter, it means the side opposite to that angle, just to remind you. Okay, so you're going to get sine B, yani sine 37, which is given here 0.6 over B, which is what we're trying to find here, equals sine A, so sine 113, which is given over here 0.9 over A. Side A is the side opposite to angle A, which is given 45. Cross multiply بيطلع لك B is 30. هون كمان they drew it for you and they gave you the sign of the angle directly. Okay, they're saying find the value of y. Okay, uh, and then, like I told you, use what's given. And if you don't have all three triangles in your, sorry, if you don't have all three angles in your triangle, it will be way easier to solve once you have all three angles in your triangle. So if this is 35, well, this is 115. We know 35 plus 115 plus this angle x over here equals 180. فبيطلع لك I think 120 plus 30 50. You'll get angle x is 30 degrees. Okay, so let's put it here 30 degrees. Okay, now let's solve. هنا شو بدهم؟ هنا بدهم the value of y. With value y is the one opposite to angle y. So we're going to do sine y over y equals sine sorry, then my fault. First we start with what we're trying to find. Then I told you the second one is what's given. What side you have given? 100, which is opposite to x. So sine x over x. Now let's substitute sine y, which is sine 35, which is given 0.57, over y, which we're trying to find, we don't know it, equals sine x, sine 30. I'm going to give it to you, sine 30 is 0.5, okay? If you do it on your calculator, 0.5, okay? Equals sine x, so sine 30, which is 0.5, over x, side x, which is opposite to angle x, which is 100, okay? You cross multiply, بيطلع لك 114. Okay, هون they gave you two sides, they gave you angle B. هن بدهم what's the value of sine C? Okay, they want sine C. Oh, so enter, what do? They're not asking for angle C, so you don't have to do inverse sine at the end. You just have to find sine C, the total decimal. And I told you start with what we're looking for. Since we're looking for angle C, we start with sine C over the side opposite to it, C, equals what's given? What's given? Well, since we're talking about angles, we're going to look at which angle is given now, huh? B, sine B over the side B, which is the side opposite to it. Now let's substitute. Sine C, now we're trying to find it. So sine C over the side C. What side's opposite to C? 18 equals sine B, يعني sine 50, which is given 0.77 على B. What's the side opposite to 50? What's the side opposite to angle B? Sorry, it's 22. فيو cross multiply بيطلع لك sine C is equal to, I think it was 0.627 on the calculator, and then obviously a long decimal. فيو round it, you get 0.63. Okay. Uh, okay, here they just drew the triangle for you, but they didn't like put the values on the triangle. They put measure of angle A is 60, so I put 60. C is 10, فبتحط 10 هون. و B is 25, تحط 25 هون. What's the value of A squared? تذكروا إذا you're using squared معناتها we are using the cosine rule. What is the cosine rule? Start with the side squared, A squared, equals the other two squared plus each other, 10 squared plus 25 squared, minus 2 times those two sides, times cosine of that angle. Since we're talking about side A, is going to be angle A. So cosine angle A, which is 60. So cosine 60. Okay, solve this in a calculator, and you're going to get 475. 475 as your A squared, right? Not if they ask you for A, it will be radical 475. بس هني بس بدهم A squared, you don't put any radical. مثل ما هي the answer you got, you keep it. Okay, given an isosceles triangle, pay attention to isosceles, okay? With legs equal to 20 each, the vertex angle measures 37. Okay, what is the value of k if the length of the base of the triangle is expressed as radical k? Use cosine 37, whatever. Okay, isosceles triangle. Let's say this is an isosceles triangle. You guys know that an isosceles triangle, معناتها these two sides are equal. Their legs are equal to 20 each. معناتها 20 هون, 20 هون. هني قالوا the vertex angle. Because you know in an isosceles triangle we have base angles here. Okay, they gave us the vertex angle. Let me draw this properly. The vertex angle is the angle between these two legs. It's the angle at the top. Okay, the 37. Okay, what is the value of k if the length of the base of the triangle is expressed as radical k? When they're telling you they gave you cosine or radical, يعني radical يعني أكيد we're going to use the cosine. Okay, they want the base. The base is, let's call this a. Okay, let's call it a. How do we find a if we're using the cosine rule? We start with a squared it equals the other two 1 squared plus each other, 20 squared plus 20 squared, and minus 2 times both of the sides, times cosine of the angle 37. So cosine 37. Put this in a calculator, but make sure to use cosine 37 as 0.8 and not the value given on the calculator. So let me put it for you, 0.8. Okay, and then 20 هون كملها 20 20 continue 20 squared 20 squared, you get a squared. Well, I'm pretty sure you're gonna get a squared equals 160. فهني بدهم radical k, that will be a equals radical 160. Okay, we just put 160 because they want what's under the radical. Okay, okay. Question 9. They drew for you the three sides. They want cosine y, and I told you if you want the cosine directly of an angle, it will be the side opposite to it. Side opposite to y is angle y is going to be y squared minus the other two 1 squared, which is 13 squared and 15 squared. Okay. Uh, actually no. Let me draw this. Let me write this better. The side opposite to y, instead of writing y squared, I actually write the number for you. Uh, what's opposite to angle y? It's 17. This is our y, technically, because it's the side opposite to angle y. 17 squared, that's the first one you write. Then minus the other two squared, 13 squared minus 15 squared, divide by negative 2 times the other two sides, 13 and 15. This is a 3, huh? It's 13. Okay, and you get cosine y equals 7 over 26. وهن بدهم k over 26, which is 7. You got to put this all on a calculator, okay? اوكي هيك نكون خلصنا الجيومتري. هلا على الاي جي. the IG is نفس الشيء like last week, it's derivatives. It's بسيطة. It's very 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 easy. It's similarly very similar to physics. Okay, uh, let's start here. This is a graph, distance, time. So you know that distance over time is speed. What's the speed of the train between 9:30 and 11:30? Okay, since they want hours, we'll put the time in hours. So between 9:30 and 11:30, 9:30 is over here. It's 150. Okay, and then 11:30 is here, 300. So 300 minus 150 divided by the time. What's the time between 11:30 and 9:30? In hours, obviously. 30 and 30 cancel, you get 0. 11 minus 9 is 2. So it's 2 hours. Okay, since they wanted in hours, you keep your time in hours. So 2. Okay, 300 minus 150, 150 divided by 2, you get 75. Okay, uh, you guys know why I did 300 minus 150, because it's the distance between 150 and 300. Okay, part B, the speed between 7 and 9:30. Between 7, which is at 0, okay, and 9:30, which is at 150. So 150 minus 0 over the time, 7 and 9:30. Okay, it's so 9:30 and 7. 30 minus 0, you get 30 minutes. 9 minus 7 is 2. So 2 hours, 30 minutes. Okay, so instead of, so, and how would you divide this as a decimal? You obviously you want to put 2.3. You know 2 hours and 30 minutes is 2.5 hours. Why is it 2.5 hours? Because 30 is half an hour, so 2.5 hours. So into when dividing as your time, you put 2.5 down. Okay, you put 2.5. So 150 divided by 2.5 hours. Why 2.5? Because 2 hours and a half. 2 hours 30 minutes, 2 hours and a half equals 60. You get 60. And it's probably the easiest IG question this week. Uh, yeah, هلا this is where it gets a bit tricky. Okay, هلا this is the geometry. I'm gonna go to a new page. I'm gonna explain the IG. It's physics. It's basically physics using derivatives that we took last week in the AMS. Look, نحن عندنا displacement. They would give you displacement x. Okay, and then they put t in brackets. It means يعني displacement with respect to time. Displacement would be equal to مثلا 4t squared plus 5t. Okay, وبيسألوك what would be the velocity, the instantaneous, because you know نحن عندنا instantaneous velocity وعندنا average velocity. Okay, instantaneous velocity is at a certain time instant, at time equals whatever, alpha, let's say time equals any time. Average velocity is the time, is the velocity between two times, right? So انت whenever you want to find the average velocity, or the instantaneous velocity وهن بس عطوك displacement, you have to understand one thing. Derivatives. I'm going to show you the derivative path, okay? The dy over dx path, okay? Let's actually, I'll call it dx over dt, okay? My fault, dx over dt, because we're talking about x and t. Well, the dx over dt path goes from displacement. X is displacement. Displacement goes to velocity, then velocity goes to acceleration. What do I mean here? The derivative of displacement gets you velocity, and the derivative of velocity gets you acceleration. Okay? So let's see here, 4t squared plus 5t. What would be the equation for the velocity? It will be the derivative of 4t squared. How do I find the derivative? If you remember, you multiply the exponent by the coefficient, comes 8, and then you reduce the exponent by 1, t. Then again, multiply the exponent by the coefficient, will become 5, and you reduce the exponent by 1, so the t will go, it will get cancelled. So that means أنا, my velocity, my equation for the velocity is 80 plus 5. Okay, how did I get that? By deriving. Okay, so أنت now with 80 plus 5, if they asked you what's the instantaneous velocity at time equals 2 seconds, using this now, since we have the equation for the velocity at time equals 2 seconds, all you'd have to do is the velocity would be equal 8 times 2 plus 5, because times 2 seconds, you get 16 plus 5 equals 21. So your instantaneous velocity is 21 meters per second. Okay? But what if they told you find the average velocity? This is where it gets different. Okay? To find the average velocity, with the average velocity to find it, it's different. Okay? You can't just derive. Okay? To find the average velocity, you don't derive أول شيء. Don't derive. Okay? You have to use xt directly. Okay? What do I mean? Because أنا when I'm looking for velocity, velocity is x final minus x initial over time final minus time initial. Okay, same thing goes, same rule applies for average acceleration. I'm not allowed to derive and find the equation for acceleration. No, I use the thing that's before acceleration, which is vt. Okay, I have to use vt directly. Okay, so whenever you're looking for the average, you use the thing that's behind it. Okay, because acceleration is v final minus v initial على time final minus time initial. Okay, please remember this. This is very important. When you're looking for average, you don't derive. You use the thing that's before it. So let's say in this case, they told me what's the average velocity between, in this equation here, when uh, 4t squared plus 5t, right? They said that xt is 4t squared plus 5t. Let's say they told me what's the velocity average between 2 seconds and 4 seconds. How do I do it? You have to find the x for each one. It will be 4 times 2 squared, أول شيء, plus 5 times 2. Okay, and then 4 times 4 squared plus 5 times 4. Okay, 4 times 2 squared, 16 plus 10, it will become 26. I think 16 plus 10, yeah. And this one will be 16 times 4, hold up, 16 times 4, 64 plus 20, 84. Okay, and then what do you do? We do v final, which is 84, minus, sorry, x final, which is 84. This is x and x final, which is 84, minus the x initial, which is 26, على the time final, which is 4 minus 2. You get, I don't know, 84 minus 26, it will become 58 over 2, which is the 29, okay, meters per second. This is your average velocity. هيدي this is an example. This is when they ask for average. Okay, ممنوع تستعمل الدerivative. You use the one that's before it. فمثلا هون for question 11, here it's the same thing, بس شو عم يسألوا average acceleration. فبدهم acceleration average. For average acceleration, remember the path. It goes from x to v to t. Sorry, to a. فإذا أنت, if you want average acceleration, you have to use the equation that's behind it. What's behind acceleration? V. So we have to use vt. Okay? هن شو عطينا؟ t cubed minus 4t. How do I find vt if they gave me xt? How do I find it? Remember, vt is the derivative of xt. vt equals dx over dt, the derivative of t cubed minus 4t. How do we find the derivative? 3 times 1 will be 3. Reduce your exponent by 1 becomes squared. Okay, هيدي 1 times negative 4 becomes negative 4. So معناتها my vt is 3t squared minus 4. Now we can find our acceleration. We substitute the t equals 2 and t equals 4. So it will be 3 times 2 squared minus 4 or 3 times 4 squared minus 4. هيدي بتكون 12 minus 4 8 وهيدي بتكون 48 minus 4 44. Okay, so now we have our values for the v final v initial, so we can do v final minus v initial على time final minus time initial. v final هي 44 v initial هي 8 time final هي 4 initial هي 2 بيطلع لك 36 over 2 which is 18 meters per second squared. Okay, sorry, meters per second, kilometers per hour square, because they said kilometers. uh, yeah, I mean, that's the only choice اصلا. On hours they give you hours. Well, the unit doesn't matter, it's the number that matters. Okay, that's how you solve question 11. Okay, if you realize the way they ask these questions is very, very similar to the way they're asking the questions in physics. A particle is moving along the x-axis, so that at any time they gave us the position, the x displacement is 2t squared plus 80 minus 5. What's the average acceleration? Same thing. It's the same as that last question. To find the average acceleration, you need to plug into the vt. إذا ما عندنا ال vt, how do we find it? We have to derive. How do you derive 2t squared plus 80 minus 5? Multiply the exponent by the coefficient, but see 4, reduce your exponent by 1, t plus 8t, multiply the exponent by the coefficient, c plus 8, and then you reduce the exponent by 1, the t will get cancelled. Well, okay, if it's a constant number, minus 5 doesn't have derivative because the exponent will be 0, so 0 times negative 5 is 0. So مهم, you get your vt is 4t plus 8. Okay, how do you find average acceleration? You have to plug in. Since it's average, you plug in using 3 and 5. So it will be 4 times 3 plus 8, or 4 times 5 plus 8. 12, it will come 12 plus 8, 20. Height will be 20 plus 8, 28. Okay, how do you find acceleration? V final minus V initial على time final minus time initial. Okay, الفاينل velocity هي 28, initial velocity هي 20, time final هي 5, والinitial هي 3. You'll get 8 over 2, which is 4. That is your answer. Okay, again, عطينا graph. Okay, they're saying what is the speed from 8:30 to 9? 8:30 is over here. You go up to 8:30. It's over here at 120. Okay, so 120. To 9. If I go up to 9, it's at between 160 and 200, so 180. So 180 minus 200, as the 180 minus 120. Over the time, what's the time between 9 and 8:30? 9, 8:30. You'll get 8 and come 60. You get 30 minutes. 30 minutes, and they're asking for hours. 30 minutes and hours, 30 minutes is 0.5 hours. So our time will be 0.5 since they're asking in hours, huh? You'll get 60 divided by 0.5, which is 120. Okay, هون they gave you the particle moving along the x-axis. Okay, they gave you again the displacement formula, 8t squared minus 5t plus 13. Its velocity when t equals 2 seconds is something meters per second. So they want the velocity at a certain time. They didn't give me 2 times, they gave me 1 time. فمعناتها what are they asking for? They're asking for instantaneous velocity. How do you find instantaneous velocity? You directly derive. To find instantaneous, you derive the thing that's before velocity, which is displacement x. So you have to derive 8t squared minus 5t plus 13. Let's derive it. 2 times 8, 16. Reduce the exponent by 1, what's your t? 1 times negative 5, it's minus 5, and reduce the exponent by 1, t will be cancelled. 13, since 0, it has no derivative. So that means the equation for the instantaneous velocity is 16t minus 5. At any instant, this is the velocity. هن بدهم at t equals 2 seconds. فشو بتعمل? You substitute 2. 16 times 2 minus 5, which is 32 minus 5, which is 27. Yeah, 27. Okay, again, they gave us particle on the x-axis, and they gave us xt is 1 over 3t cubed plus 4t minus 4. They're saying what's the average acceleration, so they're asking for average acceleration. How do you find average acceleration? You have to substitute into vt. So first you have to find vt. Okay, they're saying the average acceleration during the first 2 seconds. So some people get mixed up when they say first 2 seconds. They're just going to put time equals 2 seconds. Okay, and they're going to think they're asking about the instantaneous acceleration, but no. First 2 seconds معناتها time is 0 and time is 2. So these are your two times when you say first 2 seconds. For how do you do it? First thing I told you, you need VT. How do you find VT? You have to derive 1 over 3t cubed plus 4t minus 4. Let's derive it. 3 times 1 over 3, it cancels, right? Let's do it. 1 over 3, let me write it down. 1 over 3t cubed plus 4t minus 4. 3 times 1 over 3, it cancels. So you get just 1. And then reduce the 3 by 1, the exponent. Reduce the exponent by 1, become t squared. Plus 1 times 4 is 4. Okay. And negative 4, 0 times negative 4 cancels out. So your derivative will be 1t squared plus 4. So let's just say t squared plus 4. So your vt is t squared plus 4. Okay. هلا فينا نلاقي average acceleration how? We have to substitute our two times now. Okay? Because we need the v final v initial. Let's substitute 0 squared plus 4 و 2 squared plus 4. You get 4 and you get 8. Okay? For now, let's find our acceleration. V final minus V initial على time final minus time initial. Okay? Minus time initial. ال V final هي 8 والinitial هي 4. Okay? Divided by time final minus time initial هي 2 minus 0. يطلع لك 4 divided by 2 which is equal to 2. Equal to 2. اوكي هيك بنكون خلصنا كل شيء new material. باقي كلهم old material and I'll go through them again بس I'll go through them quicker because يعني ما بيستاهلوا. They were in the AMS last week. Okay, this one, the roots كذا. How do you solve? Take 8 to the other side. So 3x squared equals 75. Divide by 3, you'll get x squared equals 25. And then square with both sides, you'll get x equals plus minus radical 25. So 5 and negative 5. And I'm going to go through them quickly. Okay, uh, for this one, sine what equals radical 3 over 2? Okay, you have to know. أنا the way I did it in the AMS and it was correct صراحة. The way it came in the exam, it came يعني like this. أنا obviously change your calculator to radians. Okay, calculator to radians. Change it to radians. Okay, أنا what I did is I checked each one. I did sine 2 pi over 3. I did sine for each one and checked which one equals what they gave me here. فمثلا أنت if you were to do sine 2 pi over 3 on your calculator, you're gonna get radical 3 over 2. Just make sure it's in radians, okay? Uh, that's how I did it and I got it correct, okay? So I'm not gonna go through each one, that would just be wasting time. Question 18 نفس الشيء, you just check each one. Just use tan. Do tan negative 5 pi over 6, you're gonna get radical 3 over 3. Okay, just check it for each one and see which ones are correct. Question 19, symmetric about the origin. Origin معناتها you flip both sides يعني become 6 8. والله سهلين. The vertical asymptote. To find the vertical asymptote, always vertical asymptote, the denominator you equate it to 0. So you'll get 4x minus 40 equals 0. Take 4 to the other side. 4x will be 40. X equals 10. So your asymptote is x equals 10. Okay, about the y-axis, so you only flip the x. If they're asking symmetric about the y-axis, you only flip the x. So become 6, negative 8. Okay, below is y equals f of x drawn in blue and the graph of line y equals g of x drawn in red. Okay, when is f of x greater than g of x? So when is the blue line greater than g of x, which is the red line? So when do they start? When does the blue line start becoming bigger than the red line? Over here at x equals 3. So after x equals 3, you see how the blue line becomes bigger. Okay. Okay, this is very simple. The roots of x minus 8 and x plus 14 equals 0. معناتها either x minus 8 equals 0 or x plus 14 equals 0. So you get 8 to the other side, you get x equals 8, and 14 to the other side, you get x equals negative 14. Okay, x squared minus 10x plus 18 equals 0 is equivalent to x minus 5 squared equals 7. Okay, whenever they put something a minus b squared, remember I told you completing the square. So how do we complete the square? X squared minus 10x plus 18 plus 18. How do you complete the square? First you take a and b isolated, x squared minus 10x, and then plus 18 over here. هلا you divide by 2 and square plus and minus a square, so become x squared minus 10x plus 5 squared, because 10 divided by 2 is 5. So plus 5 squared minus 5 squared, and then you have plus 18. Then these three, you get rid of these three by factoring it. X, sign in the middle, minus 5 squared. So you get rid of all of these three. What are you left with? Minus 5 squared plus 18. Minus 5 squared plus 18 equals 0. Minus 5 squared here, minus 25 plus 18 equals 0, and you have x minus 5 squared over here. Minus 25 plus 18 is minus 7 equals 0, and you have x minus 5 squared over here. Take minus 7 to the other side, you get x minus 5 squared equals 7. Okay, okay, this is the same one as last week. Secant squared x, I'm going to write it down to make it simpler. Secant squared x minus 22 tan x plus 20 equals 0. Okay, I will show you have to remember the trigonometric, the Pythagorean identities. Let me get them, wait. Yeah, it's these ones, okay? Remember sine squared plus cosine squared equals 1, and secant squared equals 1 plus tan squared, and cosecant squared equals 1 plus cotangent squared. Okay, so let's go back, and I think the one that came last time was sine squared and cosine squared, if I'm not wrong. Okay, I'm not sure, so I think it was sine squared and cosine squared that came the AMS. مهم, we know secant squared is equal to 1 plus tan squared. So instead of secant squared x, نكتب 1 plus tan squared, 1 plus tan squared. Okay, and then you cancel this out. We put 1 plus tan squared. You substituted it with 1 plus tan squared. ونكمل minus 22 tan x plus 20 equals 0. هلا what can we simplify? 1 plus 20 gets you 21. And then tan, you'll be left with tan squared minus 22 tan x. Okay, equals 0. طب أنا what I did last time is I cancelled these and I replaced this tan squared with x squared. We just factored out the tan. Get rid of the tan because it's annoying. Okay, instead of tan we're putting x, so minus now 22x plus 21 equals 0. وهلا we factor this like normal. Okay, let's move this up. We factor it like it's a normal equation. X squared minus 22x plus 21. How do I factor it? Which two numbers, when you multiply them you get 21, when you add them you get the middle term, which is 22. Okay, it will be x plus sorry, it will be 21 and 1. It will be 21 and 1. But what are my two signs? Since it's plus, معناتها both signs will be the same. And since the middle term is minus, معناتها both signs will be minus. Equals 0. This is a 1 now, not a 7. So I'll get two solutions, which is 21 and x equals 1. Okay, they gave me x equals 1. They're asking for what's the value. K, it's going to be 21. Okay, what is the gradient of the curve at the point abscissa 2? Okay, how do we find the gradient? You take 2 points of the line. You have here 2 comma 0, and you have here 3 comma negative 4. Okay, so how do you do it? y2 gradient يعني slope, x2 minus x1. y2 he, let's take negative 4. y1 he 0 على x2 minus x1 يعني 3 minus 2. You get negative 4 over 1, which is negative 4. Okay, so your gradient is negative 4. Okay, what's the gradient of y equals x to the power of 12 at x equals 1? Okay, how do you find the gradient, okay, of any equation? And I told you always to find the gradient, you plug in the point into the derivative. Plug in the point into dy over dx. dy over dx is my derivative. So I have to plug in x equals 1 into the derivative. How do I derive x to the power of 12? 12 times the coefficient will become 12. Okay, and then reduce the exponent by 1, it will become x to the power of 11. Okay, so this is my dy over dx, dy over dx. If I substitute x equals 1, it will be 12 times 1 to the power of 11. Okay, 1 to the power of 11 is 1, and 12 times 1 equals 12. So my gradient is 12. Okay, in this quiz, they didn't ask about finding the equation. So I don't think it will come in the AMS tomorrow, since they didn't ask about it in the quiz. Here they're asking for the gradient again. How do you find the gradient? Substitute the point into the derivative. So let's find our dy over dx first, the derivative of 4x cubed. You multiply 3 by 4, it's 12. Reduce the exponent by 1, it's going to become x squared. So this is my derivative, okay, dy over dx. Okay, now substitute x equals negative 2. It'll be 12 times negative 2 squared. Negative 2 squared is 4. 12 times 4 هي 48. Okay. Okay. هون عطوك a normal function. Okay. They're saying extreme values. Extreme values معناتها they're talking about the turning points. If you remember from my recording from last week, extreme values معناتها turning points. So how do you find the turning points? You equate dy over dx to 0. So first we have to find dy over dx of minus 8x cubed plus 24x minus 10. We have to find the derivative of this. How do we find the derivative? 3 times negative 8, negative 24, reduce this exponent by 1, becomes squared. 24x, you multiply 1 by 24 to become 24, and reduce the exponent by 1, x will be cancelled. ونيجاتيف 10 أكيد 0 times negative 10, it will be cancelled. So this is your derivative. So now to find our turning points, we have to equate this derivative to 0. So let's equal it to 0. You take 24 to the other side, you get negative 24x squared equals negative 24. Divide by negative 24 on both sides, you get negative 24 over negative 24, which will be 1. So x squared equals 1. For x will be plus minus radical 1, which will be 1 and negative 1, because there's two square roots for radical 1. So هن عطوك x equals 1, for the second one will be x equals negative 1. Like this بنكون خلصنا math AMS. I'm sorry it's a long recording, but it's shorter than last week's. Yeah, 46 minutes. Sorry, but thank you for watching until the end. Well, I appreciate it. I appreciate يعني the support on the videos. والله, thank you so much. يلا, bye. I think I'll record the physics AMS today, inshallah. Thank you for watching.